Howdy gamers, this is Lark with Games and Gaming Miniatures, and I want to welcome you to Banished. Banished is an older game. Matter of fact, it's got the copyright of 2015. But it's a good game, and it runs on my laptop, which is a slightly older laptop. So I really love this game because I've actually got a good-sized city that I've been building on forever on my laptop. And if I travel or something, I might work on it for a little bit. However, I'm going to start a new city with you. And if you look at the seed number right here, if you like the city area we're building in, key that seed in there just by clicking on the area, backspacing or deleting the numbers, putting the seed in. However, I'm going to change the name. We're being banished from our old home into the wilderness. And because of that, I'm going to call my town New Hope. Yes, I know that is not very original, but I like it. We're going to take valleys for the terrain type, large terrain size. I think there's a mod to go bigger, but I'm got all the mods turned off. Be careful with mods. You will mostly see these on finished games that have them, but be careful because if there's a major update, it can mess up the mod, so you're going to have to check that kind of thing. Climate's going to be mild. Disasters, I'm going to turn it off because if I leave it on and something really bad happens, I'm not going to be able to teach you the other stuff I need to be teaching you. However, later on, we will play a game with the disasters turned back on, and I'll give you some recovery ideas. I'm going to start an easy. That's going to let me get a starting supply of seeds, homes, large amounts of supplies. It tells you everything right in there, but it also gives me livestock. I normally play on the next harder because I like building my own houses, but for learning purposes, I'm going to start with easy. And another look at the seeds. You can pause and write that down if you want. And let's see what it looks like. Hiding chicken eggs. I do like games that have something down there to show you the screen is loading. It's not stopped, stuck, or having an issue. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is pause and talk about what we got working with here. I do see some things I really like, though. We're going to zoom out and we're going to look at the waterway situation. Reason we're doing this is because I once built my trading post on a lake. Does not work. And it took me 3 years to realize that the reason I wasn't getting trades because I built the trading post on a lake. I felt really stupid at the time. Now, you got this big, long, wide river here. That's where the boats will come for the trading post. So we're going to slowly build our way over there, and by the time we get over there, we should be able to have enough stuff in reserve to be able to trade. You don't have money in this game. You trade value for value. In other words, what the trader considers 100 iron tools worth won't be worth 100 steel because 100 steel are the better tool. You get the idea. Now, this stream here is a hindrance. We're going to need a bridge to cross it. The best thing for this lake is the reason I'm glad it's close to our town. It's food. And I'll show you more about that in just a minute. Alright, so let's talk about this. This is our menu here where we can build and do different things. We're going to go into the tools and reports. We don't have the building built for that one. And if you need help, you can click on that one. I never use the one with the camera. And the pathing I only occasionally look at when I'm not sure which way the people are going. Unlike some games, they will not leave trails where the people travel a lot. That means you're going to need the pathing tool to turn it on to see where they're going through. But I don't always need that. I just occasionally use it. One of the most used one will be increased priority. Sometimes I'll do the show resource limits. And the only two I'm going to change right now is because I don't like doing things in increments of 50 are the clothing and the tools. Each bump up of the arrow will go up 100, okay, in this instance. So I'm just going to go ahead and fix that right off the bat. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to do anything else with it. The last four are our UIs. And I'm just going to click on all four and I'm going to show you something. This is what makes them so cool. check this out. Alright, this is a map if you're wondering where you are. Eventually you'll branch your city out so far that you'll want to go back to the centralized area. That's what that camera's for somehow, but I've never really used it, so I don't know how to use it. We may go back and work on that. Somebody put in comments telling everybody how to use it. I haven't used it much. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is look at the event log. These are filters for the event log. Turn it on, turn it off. Alright. Scroll up, scroll down. Make sure if you scroll up to look up stuff that you get that one and scroll it back down because the current's going to be at the bottom. You put it wherever you're comfortable. You may have to play with it a bit to get comfortable. It depends on your screen layout too, if you have a wide screen or not. Let's talk about this information. You will want to be able to glance at this because it gives you specific information at specific times, but you're not going to be constantly using it other than looking at information. Town names at the top. Time of year. This mainly affects when you're planting stuff and maybe doing some additional building. I'll go more detail into that later. This is what year it is. Population. This is a key area. You start off with 12 adults and 10 children and 0 students because we don't have a school up yet. We'll get into that more later. Just remember right now, you're wanting to watch this area right here and this area. You most always want to be aware of those two areas. If you stop seeing people being born here or here, it's time to build new houses. Matter of fact, you're probably a little late because your people will slowly hit a point where they won't be able to have children anymore, and then your population will stagnate. And the only way to fix that's with the nomads. But if you've not got everything set up for that, it's just a vicious cycle of a downfall of your town. Keep aware of it. Also, these are areas of supplies that you need to have constantly bringing in. All right, food, obviously, like the firewood, your logs. This one can happen later, all right? Eventually, you're going to want it because it affects happiness, okay? There's happiness, there's health. Temperatures, clothing, tools, that's an important area. All this is very important to the growth of your city or town. I think that a certain population we should be allowed to call it a city, but you get the idea. The most important is right here. The reason it's the most important is because it's going to allow you to assign jobs to your people. It's also going to tell you how many you need for those jobs because they're available. All right. For example, a farmer I know for one field takes 4 people to fully man it. You don't have to fully man it, but keep in mind if you don't fully man it, you're going to get less food. And if you've got more than one field, you could end up down here with like a symbol over it indicating that you don't have enough people there. So it's really important that you control what's going on here. And I like putting that right there at the top. So it's basically in the listed importance. This one's very important. This is mid, and this is the lowest because you can always hear it ding and stuff, and you can look down at a glance and see what you need to know. Stuff in red is something that needs your attention immediately. Remember that. White is just information. Alright, so now we've gone through that, and we need to discuss the first buildings we need to build, okay? First of all, we're starting with livestock, so we're going to have to make a pasture at some point. We're starting with sheep, which is really good because they have wool. Wool can be used to make clothing. Also, because we can hunt for food. When we hunt the deer, we will get the venison, but we will also get leather. Since we have sheep now, we can build a better quality of clothing with the leather and the wool, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But for starters, I think fishing's going to be our best bet. So we're going to click on the apple, see the fish. And since we have this nice, big, beautiful lake right next to our town, we're just going to go ahead and put as much of the fishing dock in the waters, we can, but it's going to hit a point where it's red and we got to adjust it until we get it all green. And we're just going to click. Now, since I've already got it paused, I'm going to go ahead and lay out a few more buildings. We're going to need a woodcutter. Click on the trees and the boulders, the axe. And you see those green triangles? I'm trying to line them up to make a road, okay? And I'll show you that right now. It's a dirt road. See how I line that up? Also, I'm going to need another stockpile area, and that's where all my wood and my iron and all that go into there. It's a 10 by 10 area. And I'm thinking there's a mod for that to make it even bigger. I can't remember. You don't have to make it 10 by 10. Okay. They didn't make this one 10 by 10. I wish they would, but it's got to fit in a small area, so. And I left a gap for a road, which in this case is going to become a bridge because it's going right across there. And we'll talk more about that later. As you see, my number of acquired builders is going up steadily, but I'm going to show you a few things here to get around that. This is our pasture, and it's a 20 by 20 area. And next we're going to have our hunting area, which I'm trying to find a good spot for it. And I'm going to put my gather. Now, I'm not worried about building too much at one time because I'm not really going to build it all at the exact same time. I'm going to prioritize stuff. First thing I'm going to do is click on this arrow and tell it I want this built first, no matter what. And I'm going to put a limited number of builders in the spot to start with. Alright, they're going to build this one first. And I'm going to speed that up to 10. And some of the extra people will go work on the roads. As you can see, they carried food into their houses and firewood. And they're just going to start clearing out these areas while the builders will build. Now I need 4 fishermen, and I want to get those going as fast as I can so that I can get my fishing going. Also, the woodcutter needs to cut in wood before winter sets in. And our other stockpile's done. Now, I have on occasion managed to get a crop field in right off the bat year 1. That takes some organization, but the reason I don't do that is it takes a full year for food to be processed. Because it has to grow and then it has to be harvested. Whereas if I start fishing, let me turn that off. If I start fishing right now, I'm already gathering as much fish as I can. And I'm going to reset my food limit. I can do that on any building to 9,999. Just so I can guarantee I don't stop gathering food at any point. And as you see, our bridge is built. Let me fix the road for that. And we can start clearing out some stuff in that area. But first, I'm going to clear out some trees right here because I'm going to need to build a couple more buildings over here. And as you see, our people are picking up all the supplies here, and then they're going to start building here. Same thing right there where those 2 areas are. Now, what's happening here is we're gradually running out of people to put in new areas. But as you see down on the bottom left corner, we've had people become laborers, and we've also had new children born. We have to keep an eye on this and keep it all balanced. If we start expanding our people and population too fast and don't have enough food, it could hurt. I'm going to go ahead and crank up to 300 firewood. You'll want to get a balance with firewood versus logs. If you're not careful, you can use all your logs to make firewood and then not be able to build houses. Like I said, there's a lot of balancing in this game. Alright, so let me pause a minute. Let's talk about this building. Everything I tell you about this building will hold true for your other production buildings. Crop fields. You get the idea. Alright, first of all, you have to have the animals for that particular pasture in your town. So let's say you want chickens. Well, the first thing you have to do is have a trading post if you don't start with chickens. And then you have to buy the chickens, and then you put them in your pasture. Now, what I like to do is I always keep 1 or 2 pastures extra with nobody manning it. Nothing there. It's just there ready to go. And let's say I get an opportunity to buy chickens. Well, what I do is I buy the chickens, and then I go over to the pasture immediately and tell them, okay, we're going to put chickens here. And then I put people there to take care of the chickens. That's called herdsmen. Now, we're going to click on the question mark. We have sheep, remember? And now they're going to work, okay? Our food limit's still set to 99. We fixed that already. However, we don't have any herdsmen. We need 2. All right, a couple more things. Let's say you want to expand your herd. Well, you wait till it gets up to around 24. Over 15 at least. And you go over here and you build another pasture, get it prepped and ready, and by the time it's ready, you should have a good number here. What you can do is hit split, and half of them will go over to the new area. Now, if you do this a couple of times, what you could do is create a field for growing to max level, which would be 25 in this case. And what happens at 26 is they process the animal to make meat. All right. But each herd has a byproduct. In this case, one of the most productive ones I like besides chickens is sheep, because I get wool from them during the year, and I get meat when I get the population big enough. Chickens provide you with eggs and meat. And then cattle gives you leather and meat. All right. So let's say you had the field built here and you decided you're not happy with it there. You build it somewhere else. You hit empty, and they will go from this field to whatever one's available and pre-selected for them. Here, we're going to have work, don't work. Same thing on the other building. We control how many. And it tells us what's in inventory. Here, same thing. We can turn it off if we need to and put those people somewhere else. There's going to come a time when you want to turn a few of your buildings off. Alright, so let's get back to production. And it looks like we've got the hunting cabin. So I'm going to use the controls right here I could bring in an extra hunter. For now, we're just going to do good to get 3. But if I wanted to bring in a 4th hunter, there's a control here to let me do that. And I could drop down on how many people I've got building. Sheep have now gone in there now that I've told them to. And we've already got one of those taken care of, so. There we go. And we're just going to go ahead and zero that out for now. Because we're not going to build anything for a few minutes. We're going to look at what we got to work with. We've got the bridge here. We're going to start clearing this out over here. Click on the thing with the axe and the stump, and we're going to clear out trees. We're going to clear out stone. Now, during the wintertime, the farmers will help with that, and if anybody's not got anything to do, they'll help with it. We're also going to need to look at building a couple key buildings we're going to need. One of those key buildings is the guy that makes the tools. Click on the tree. And that's the blacksmith. You're going to need one of those. And we'll fix that in a minute. And then you're going to need a tailor. You have to get these 2 built as soon as possible. And when I say that, I mean that it's just early in the game. Not right this second. I just meant early in the game. Because you only have a limited number of tools and clothing. See? So you do not want those to hit 0 and not have something in place to replace it. Now, as you see, our deer are migrating around the map. which means there's a good chance there aren't hardly any deer. Oh, there's a few. Yep, there's a few still over here, so we do have a few still. Now, what you can do over time is build a series of hunting cabins and just migrate your people from each one with the deer. I don't do that, but it can be done. I find that by the time the people get there, the deer are gone. Also, as we expand away from our main town, we're going to need to look at building housing in those areas, supply in those areas. You get the general idea. And there's one other building we're going to look at building. First, we need to get these stone and trees out of the way. And that's a boarding house. The boarding house is going to let us empty out all these wooden houses and give people a place to live. And I'm occasionally glancing down here to make sure I'm not stagnating my population. I would really like to have gotten a crop field started. There's one other thing we could do that I have found really helpful. And what that is putting stockpiles on the areas where you're trying to clear areas out. Like right here. I'm just going to put a stockpile right here. And they don't have to come all the way down here to put all this stuff on the stockpile. Now, granted, the guys from this area is going to have to go all the way up there if that's the only place that has the item that they need. But hey, I can live with that. Also, we'll want to put barns along in here somewhere, storage barns. Ideally, keep your storage barns around your crop fields because eventually you will get to the point where you need a lot of barns. For now, we're doing pretty good though. I'm going to build one house just to be safe here, but I'm going to prioritize the blacksmith first. Now, as you see, that's where that hill is. I want to kind of avoid that area. So let's prioritize the blacksmith just to get it built. We don't necessarily have to put anybody in it yet. Now the reason that's set up the way it is because I can prioritize an area or I can prioritize a building. So like that area right there. Now they're running out there to process it. See what I'm doing? We can put a couple more guys up there. How are we doing on food? We're not doing too bad. We got 1,000 units of food. We got a lot of children growing up. Problem is we're not having a whole lot of children. Also, I'm going to lay the groundwork for our first crop field. Yeah, I think the biggest we can have is 15 by 15. And the reason I'm building this right here is to keep it close to my houses. The further I build, the more houses I'm going to build close to those areas. And I'm not in a hurry because it's not planting season. I also left room to put a road along there. Blacksmith. Alright, I already reset that to 100. Blacksmith can use coal to make a better quality tool. We don't have access to coal yet, so we're just going to go ahead and let him make regular tools. We're down to 21 here, so it's a good thing I checked. Also, remember me telling you about the sheep being sheared during the year for wool? Well, we've had time to shear them. We also have leather, so we're going to build a better quality coat once the tailor becomes active, and I'll show you that next. Because it looks like it's just about done. We can afford just a hair more firewood. We're getting a bigger population. Let's round it off to 500 for now. That's a good number. Alright, our tailor. We have both wool and leather. Means we can build a better coat right there. Warm coats. Alright. And we'll just put somebody in while we're there. There we go. We're set. And we still have 2 laborers left. Yay, go team. Now, they've cleared this corner off here. And I think I'm going to be able to just barely skirt. If you click on your house, you will have the option to build stone house, wooden house, and a boarding house. I want you to build a boarding house next. And I'm going to move it down as far as I can, lining up my triangles on the road. And see that top left corner, it's red. I can't build it there. But if I move it back to the right, I'm good. And I'm going to go ahead and continue my road too. We just kind of squeak past there. This is a fairly expensive building because it's going to take 100 logs and 45 stone. You'll want to make sure you have those things. We are in the winter time, but I want to prioritize this real quick. I'm hoping to be done by early spring so I can grow my first crop. Now, people should be carrying my stuff over here. And it's ready. So I'm going to tell it I want pumpkins. Wheat's used for the brewery. And I don't have enough people. There we go. There we go. I'm going to have all 4 people doing that. 1 person building. I don't like that setup, but that's the best we're going to get for now. And it's not long to early spring. Spring will be the roll, so spring will be the start of our 3rd year in this location. And I got 1 builder to build this. That's okay. Some of the people will bring supplies for him that are free. Now, one of the things that's going to happen is that as you lose people from old age or accidents or childbirth or any other reason, is they will take people from the labor pool to fill in for that job. This is an automatic feature of the game. If you have no laborers at all, they're not going to be able to do that, and it'll flag you and let you know. It's just something that you should be aware of in the game. Which means that if you know you ran out of laborers, you're going to want to check that, okay? As you see, they're out here planting the crop. Now I've noticed they've had a few graphical runs. I don't know if that's my game or if that's my video card, but I don't see that very often anywhere. So I think it's something in the game with the field because it's not doing it over here. It's not doing it over here. It's doing it right there. And we'll look at other fields to see if it's continually doing it or not. But it's just something I've noticed in the past with this. I don't think we're going to be able to put another field up there. Let's take a look. Nope, see, it's all red. But what we can do is continue this around, and I might be able to get another barn in there. Let's see. Yep, so I can build a barn in there later. And I can put in more stock, or I could probably build another field over here on the left. Nope. 14 by 14. Yeah, it's going to be too small of an area. It's the kind of things you want to look out for ahead of time. But we've got the boarding house done. Now I'm going to show you something. Normally I do this in the spring, mostly when I don't have a boarding house. But right now, since we have the boarding house, we can do it anytime we want. It's not going to matter. Now, if you'll look at the house, the people have their inventory and stuff. Let me show you something. I can upgrade this house right here. But in this case, I want to move it out of the way so I can control what's going on here and have a centralized area that's empty for me to build later buildings in that I need, that the whole community needs. Basically, they're community buildings. And they have the yellow circle around them, and in order to use them, the houses have to be in that circle. Alright, so what we're going to do instead is we're going to take these buildings apart. We'll get some resources back, but not all. Now, momentarily, our people were homeless, but now they've moved in there. And they brought their supplies. And our logs are low. Now, we'll get a few logs back from this project. But mostly, we need to go ahead and get some more trees cut down. Since I'm working on cultivating this area for crops and there's stones up here, let's just go ahead and get them from this area. We'll also get the stone. We're going to need it. And we'll get some iron. Anybody's free is going to come running up here dealing with this. Is it autumn? It is autumn. And as you see, it's the 3rd year, and they're picking our crops. But because they're having to run down here, it's going to take them a little longer to harvest. And we could lose part of the crops in the wintertime. That is why we want to go ahead and put a barn up here. That will solve that. And we haven't started making houses yet, so we'll want to go ahead and let them do that. Right now, I just want to leave my laborers free to help with the harvest, because I want to get as much of this harvest as I can, because once it starts snowing, I will lose the harvest. And as you can see, look at all those pumpkins we got. And that one's almost full. So now that we've got the harvest done, I'm going to tell them to they already started without me telling them to. I want them to build this because it's near the harvest area. And it guarantees that I will get my crops because they'll run across the street and plant it. And we still need more logs. So we're just going to harvest a bunch of these trees right here. They're right here in the general area. I'm going to get these 2. Oh, what the heck. We'll get these 2. I don't want to get too carried away. My goods are near capacity. They're talking about this building right here. It's almost full. Now, the deal is, there's nothing in this one. As long as I know I got a building where they can put the goods, the next time they harvest these crops, they'll go in here. And this one will slowly empty out as I either process goods or people are eating the food. Now we need to get the replacement houses started so my population doesn't stagnate out. And I'm going to hold a shift down and I'm going to build 2 more houses right here. I don't want to outdistance my food. And we've got a lot of production arrows here. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and go up 100 on my tool limit because gradually I'll build a stockpile of tools that I trade for other goods that I need. Also, if you look over here in the boarding house, you'll see we still got plenty of room. I could have gone ahead and taken all the people out of their houses, but that can affect the population growth too. So I wanted to be careful with what I did there. Oh, those pumpkins are going to come in handy right there. And as you see, we got warm coats now. And we are going to hit the point where our older population is going to start dying. But it's not right now. It's just over time. We're planting our crops again. Now, I could build a couple houses over here, but it's not that far for them to travel. The further we go to the left, though, the more houses I'm going to want to build. And as you see, the deer had little babies. Look at all this herd right here. 2 herds right here together. And let's see, we got 300 logs and we got 500 wood. Firewood's also a tradable good, so we're going to just keep upping that a little bit at a time. Keep in mind, once you start pulling stuff out to trade, you're going to put it in your trading post, and that has to all be replaced. So keep that in mind, especially when you're selling it, because you can really easily screw up that balance. Keep in mind that once you get your trading post up, you'll have a stock limit there to maintain, and we'll go into more detail about that later. But there's a key thing you need to remember. There's going to be a balance between the goods you need to use and the goods you're trading. And once you trade so much, you can actually put holes in your economy by trading too fast and not having enough to replace those items. We'll get into more detail about that later. Just know it's a possibility. Don't run off and do it. And we're going to continue this road like that. Let's get these trees right here. Right now we have a well-balanced city, and once I replace these wooden houses, our population will be still growing. And what'll happen is I'll put these houses down and they'll leave the boarding house first. And anything that won't fit into this building is getting left outside it. We'll gradually see that changed. As soon as I get rid of this building, I'll build another one right here. Or I could put one right there, but I want to leave that open right now. I haven't decided what I'm going to do right there. I don't have to do anything. But you'll notice they're now putting that food and stuff they're gathering over here. The wool and stuff that I don't have room for in my other building are going up here. So are our crops. Now, if I don't want the wool up there, guess what? I could build another barn down here for my farm to use. Wish I'd built that down just one more square. But that's okay. We'll turn it sideways and we'll just sandwich it right there. I think that's about right. Yep. Then we can have a road there. And we can continue our road there. Now a lot of this wool will go into here once it's built. Oh, we're doing good. Let's go ahead and get another. In the wintertime, I have trouble seeing the cursor because it blends in with the snow. It's my eyesight. So if you suddenly see my cursor spinning around, it's because I can't see it. Our iron is low. Let's see if we can find some iron. There's some right there. We'll go ahead and pick that up with the stone also. Matter of fact, there's some stone over here we need to go ahead and get out of our way. Let's knock that out too. That right there is tools laying there because I don't have any laborers picking it up for some reason. And as you can see, we've got a few different houses. Two exactly alike. That's kind of unusual. Let's see how we're doing here. We're down to the last family, so let's build another house. By the way, you can set your mouse up to do some of your building, spinning your building and stuff around. I've got a 4-button mouse, so I like it. It's really convenient, as you saw me popping through it there. Let's see how our food's doing. As you see, the building's slowly emptying out. Oh, good. Okay. I was concerned for a minute there. Now, what's happening here is our wool's going in here, but our tools are going to go in here, so's our coats. But also, because we've got this area here with our gathering hut, and our hunters, that stuff's going to go in there too. Nothing wrong with that. It's just spreading everything out a little bit. but you may have to go from building to building occasionally to figure it out. Alright, our last family has moved into their new house. It's empty again, so we're going to do the same thing again. Now what this is doing is controlling where your people are being taken from. Rather than expanding, I'm relocating. However, if I just built a bunch of houses, they would have expanded and they would have still been in the wooden houses. So basically that's how you relocate people. And I will build 2 more houses for them. I probably will need 4. It depends on how big their families are. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, I bet you I'll need at least 3 or 4. But let's start off with 2 and see how we do. Also, because this area is cleared, it won't take long to put a new farm in. So I'm not going to worry with it right now. Now the people won't always use the roads, just to give you fair warning. Let's see. I got room for 1 more house right there, so I'm going to put a house there. There's a hill here, and I'm trying to work around it. Sometimes you could take bigger buildings and figure out where the hills and stuff are. In this case, we knew it was a mountain. See? There you go. And we'll take that on into there. I'm not sure what we're going to build up in this area. We'll see what we got room for. And let's see. We better hold off on the firewood for a few minutes. Why is that coming out? Okay, they went over. Alright, that's good. Let's keep cutting the trees out of the way. I don't want to interfere with that area. I don't know for certain if that really is a thing, but to be honest, I kind of like leaving that area alone for the hunters and the gatherers. Also, you'll see some trees sprouting up. Those are new trees. And I don't want to get too carried away. I say that a lot, don't I? How many times have I said it? Anybody keep count of it? Put in a comment and tell me how many times you think I've said it. Oh, there's some stone over there. We'll pick that up too. The things you find once the trees are no longer in the way, that you can only see in the wintertime. Let's see how the sheep are doing. We've maxed out our sheep so we can expand our sheep if we want. I'll think about that. Right now, I kind of like having the mutton. Alright, that should do us for fun for a while. I'll build 1 more person building. We can increase the firewood now. They gotta be waiting on iron because they've got logs. Yep, no iron, so we need to solve that issue. It means at some point we're going to need to build an iron mine. Oh, there's a huge area of iron right there. Good. And normally I do put a stockpile nearby, but in this case I want to get all my stockpile up here where I'm building right now. You're going to have to play with this and learn where you want to add new stockpiles, where you want to add new storage buildings. It's just something that you will gradually learn. Looks like we're going to need at least 4 houses. We're up to 33 adults. That's quite a few. And just occasionally want to go through here and check to make sure everybody's got a job. Check our food a little bit. Now the trading post guy. The trading post you can get occasionally other seeds and stuff. But again, you need to have a stockpile before you do that. Stuff to trade with them. Looks like we can use a couple more houses. And I just got through checking the food, so we should be okay. We can look at our master list. We have almost 5,000 food. We'll want to add a fishing dock or something here eventually. Unfortunately, our average health's not very well. We're low on iron. Let's go over and look at our average health. Let's see what we can do to help with that. We got a herbalist. That don't sound like a bad idea. The herbalist is one of those community buildings that I was telling you about. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put the herbalist. I want to put the herbalist where these two houses are. So we'll fix that in a minute. But what the herbalist does is the herbalist uses gathered herbs to provide simple health and healing for citizens. It's alternative medicine to having a real doctor. Nothing wrong with that, because back then there were certain things that they had to learn to do to survive before they actually had formal medical and formal doctors. Some of the stuff they learned from the Indians. Some people figured out on their own. And we're doing good, so we'll just go ahead and crank that up to 1,000. Oh, that's almost full. We're going to need another one, so... And because we're having to go in sideways, I'm going to do it just like that. And I'm even going to give them a path between the two buildings. And we can afford to put 2 more people on building, because I would really like to finish this project. And let's go ahead and build another dock. We've got the people to man it, and I'd rather not run out of food. Remember, this one covered that much area, so let's take this one down a little bit so they don't exactly overlap. And we'll put that one right there. I'm not going to add to the builders because we have enough builders. And that one's doing fine. I'm just kind of scoping out the area. Deciding what I'm going to do where. I think I got enough area to do quite a few crops here, right here. And we just finished this batch of houses. Now, let's take the next batch out. And like I said, I'm not worried about the time of year because I have the boarding house. Also, I can now expand and put another storage barn right here. I can also do something really cool right here. And that is build a bridge across here to get another entrance into this area where I can bring food in and people can go to work. And while the snow looks cool on the screen, it does wreak havoc with my vision when I'm trying to figure out where stuff is. Alright, so we're going to need to build a few more houses, but I also need to clear this area out here. Alright, and I'm going to prioritize this, and then we're going to see what that alarm was for. Stone is low. We are taking steps to fix that. They just haven't done it yet. We'll just get some more out of this area. Eventually we're going to have to come up with a little bit more permanent solution. And our population's getting up there, so let's go ahead and lay the groundwork for another crop. And yes, our people are probably going to get sick of pumpkins. But you know what? It's food. Now, let's hold off on that for a minute. Okay, let's see. Now, I was going to build a herbalist to help the people out. Since I've got a lot of hills and stuff around, I'm just going to bring this herbalist in right over here. And I'm going to leave some room for a road. Normally I do another set of buildings back to back, but in this case I'm in a tight, confined space. Now this herbalist, it covers my boarding house and this entire area. On second thought, you know what? Let's change that. Let's move it over to the left a little bit, so I can get more of an area. Let's do this. Oh, that's much better. Alright. Reason I changed my mind is I forgot that hill's there, and I'm not going to be building a whole lot of houses over here. That is why I went that route. And let's do this. Where's Farmer? And they should start planting it. It's getting started a little later than I'd like, but they should get it planted. I can add another farmer to this. Matter of fact, I can add up to 6. So I can add up to 2 more. We may have to adjust this later. But right now, I think it'll help us get it planted in time for summer. I won't do that to the other field because I want to control how many jobs. Alright, here's our herbalist. And our herbalist is going to make herbs and help heal people. Basically, that's somebody that's going to plant some herbs and stuff. Then they're going to make whatever they need to make to help people. And then they're going to say, okay, you take this and put it on and come back tomorrow if it's not doing better. And we'll see if we got something else. You get the idea. But basically, that's the stored medicine. Alright, we got the other fish dock built. And what happened was our fishing crew split up. We still need 8 guys over there, so we're going to go ahead and put 4 more guys. Now both of them are fully manned. We've got all of our people out of the wooden houses. And we've still got a handful of families to put in these stone houses. So let's keep going. We're not going to get anywhere there. Let's see how far out this goes. Alright, we can work with this. We're going to go out to about here. Let's face that way. And I hope we can get the other one facing this way. Can we get a road going down both? Yes. Talk about luck. We hit something going around there, so I don't know if that's the mountain or what, but this one will go all the way down, so we're good. We'll see what we get when we get those trees out of the way. We may not be able to go around because the hill may come all the way around there. Let's take a look and see. Well, that's one way to clean out an area. Nope, the game doesn't want us going over the location right there. I was afraid of that, which means we're not going to be able to build a house right there either. But that's okay. We'll work with this layout. We'll just put our houses along here where we know they will go. And we may have to make an adjustment here. I wouldn't put the roads down till I built the houses. As you can see, it was going to cause me an issue there. But I think I'm okay. And we can't build in that square. Might be able to build something smaller. I'll have to take a look at that. But you know what? Why cram it in there? And there we go with that. And our stone is low again. And our iron is low again. And we will deal with that in the next video once we get our population larger. Right now, we're just going to deal with it by picking it up all over the map, just like we do with the trees. And that ought to keep them busy. Alright, so we've emptied out the boarding house. And unless we have to move houses again for whatever reason, the only people that will use the boarding houses from now on will be the nomads. We will get into the nomads much later. We got pumpkins here. All the food's been taken out of this building. But they're up here. And that's why you have this control number right here. We got 7,000 food, almost 8,000 food. As you can see, our stone and our iron are low. Our iron is going to mainly affect this building and building, as well as our logs. And we will cover in the next video things to improve those things. But right now, we're in a stable situation. We're growing the food we need to grow. And like I said earlier, those blurry areas has to be an area on the map because this side's fine. But I do see that from time to time. And it's not my video card, it's the map. But it's okay, it's not hurting anything. I just want you to know in case you see it what's going on. And if we wanted to, over here we could build an area for the fisheries to leave the fish and stuff. We can also build a stockpile that way, which we don't really need. We're short on logs, so we're not going to increase the firewood. And we're going to hold up till we get our iron built up before we start going above the 200. But this is a good place for me to stop. If you like this video, hit the like button, thumbs up. And if you don't, put a thumbs down. But if you'd be kind enough to leave me a comment in the comments section about a way to improve the building or maybe a way to improve my video, I'd appreciate it. And if you're interested in my other videos, there's a subscribe button under the video window you can click. And there's a bell icon next to that. Click on that, click on all, and it will notify you when I make a new video. And I'd love to hear from you in comments. I'll try to respond to folks when they say something to me in comments. Let me hear from you. Now, y'all have a great day.